Hey, hey. What's something you want to know about? I'm here to educate. Anything at all. I educate in all arenas. Business, life, it don't matter. I got good answers for everything. And if I don't, I'm good at looking it up and finding out. So, Mm. Oh my God. So, one thing we'll just throw out there now. We've been hearing in the news about hydroxychloroquine for the whole epidemic that's going on, pandemic that's going on. Apparently, I dug a little further. Research shows that zinc has to be used with hydroxychloroquine. Apparently, this thing goes back to being used back for malaria purposes and was used globally against the fight against SARS and other viruses previously. And that's why hydroxychloroquine was mentioned to the president and it was mentioned before, because all other countries have been using it to good avail, but also using zinc rather. So if you load up the zinc with the hydroxychloroquine, apparently what it does is it opens up the cells for zinc to be injected into them through via the hydroxychloroquine. And then when zinc is injected into the cells, basically that ups their immunity from intrusion of the virus through the cell membrane. So apparently it's not a bunch of hokiness about the hydroxychloroquine. It actually is something that could work, but only in conjunction with zinc, with adequate amounts of zinc. And so all of this has to be done with a knowledgeable health professional who could then administer the hydroxychloroquine with the zinc, in the event that you're circling the drain. So that is one of the few things that I have been finding as remedy, I guess we could call it, home remedies. I mean, hydroxychloroquine is something you can buy, or get through the doctor, whatever. It's not necessarily a home remedy. But I'm finding through research that basically any kind of vitamins that can be had to beef up the immune system is really what's necessary. Apparently, because the first thing all of us started thinking when this happened was, how come some people skate out of this with virtually no problems or very few symptoms, and then others wind up dying? What is that? How is that? What's the difference between those people? And so, in my mind, what it is there's just healthier people in general. There's people that have healthier immune systems because they eat healthier, they get exercise, they live in less polluted areas, whatever the case may be. They just are these people that have had, less wear and tear on their immune systems, basically. So I think that really what it comes down to is the strength of the immune system. Now, folks that are going around on their basic daily lives are pretty much, beat down from the junk food, the lack of health care, the overproduction of pollution in the air. All of that stuff is beating us down. So something like coronavirus comes out and boom, it is like heinous on people. It is able to kill them. But the other ones that don't have these problems with the immune system, whether it be through health issues or be through environmental problems, regardless, it seems those that have the healthier immune systems can kind of get through this and not perish from it. So what I'm trying to do is go through frantically through all the news, and I research news all day long. I go to multiple news sources from multiple countries and I look at all of the information I can find, scientifically, not scientifically, whatever, geopolitical, doesn't matter. So what I'm trying to find now is anything that can be used as a cure, or anything that can be used as like a home remedy, things that we can use to treat ourselves if need be. This is brand new science. Doctors, they don't really know what the virus is about, what the symptoms are, how long it lasts in the body, whether we can transmit on after we're cured, or we don't know anything about it. So bottom line is any kind of home treatment is good, because if doctors don't know anything about it, they're going to say things. We have an establishment, right? We have established doctors that have to protect the elite of the medical science scientific community, the one that locks the rest of us out of, because we went in there and it was grassroots and everybody was their own doctor. A lot more things be getting resolved. There'd be a lot more cures, for example, and preventative measures for these things that happen like what's happening now. But because we rely on the structure of one person tells everybody what to do when it comes to medicine, no doctors know what to do, even that scenario. So bottom line is, if you trust in doctors your whole life and you feel that they are the all-knowing for what's healthy in your life and what's good for you, that's not always the case. Doctors don't always know what is right, especially for you individually. They certainly don't know you and your body as well as you do. But with this brand new coronavirus, they simply don't really have a lot of ways to treat it at this point. So really what it comes down to is that any kind of home treatment, as far as healthy things that build up the immune system anyway, or vitamins, for example. So vitamins will build up your immune system, and there's less stress, helps with the immune system. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into a healthy immune system. It's basically just being strong internally is what it is. And so the doctors right now are going to tell us all that it's got to be a vaccine because they got to make that money. They got to put that fear. They got to instill the fearness to just fork over that money and fork over our rights and say, hey, you know what? Vaccinate me to the hilt if it's going to keep me from coronavirus. I see this kind of sort of as the same thing as, or very similar to 9/11. 9/11, I believe, was orchestrated so that Americans could be so overwhelmed with fear that they gladly sign away their freedoms, right? Revise the Constitution, burn the Constitution in the name of protection. And now we find ourselves in a similar situation. I feel that is now not for signing away the freedoms that we signed away in 9/11, but for new freedoms that need to be signed away. Basically, willingly and knowingly saying, yes, government, go ahead and inoculate me every year, charge me for it, and lock me out of the things in life that I need to get into if I've not been inoculated. That's a total human control measure. And it's, I think, being implemented like globally. All governments of the world, I think, are participating in this control of people now through vaccination. But the bottom line is, like, we have all existed and got to this point of overabundance on the planet through no inoculations, just a few. We don't have very many viruses we don't have a fix against AIDS. We don't have a fix against Ebola. We don't have a fix against a lot of things that are very, very deadly. That being the case, we did figure out how to get the fix for mumps and measles and rubella and the polio, and so there's some stuff that we have gotten vaccines against. But if you go back historically, the vaccines are far and few between and have come out way, way later after the fact, after many, many people have been killed. And a lot of the times there's not even been vaccines released for stuff that has totally devastated people globally. So vaccines, putting all our eggs in the vaccine basket, not a good idea. I mean, it's cool if we come up with a vaccine. Awesome. Everybody takes it. If it doesn't hurt anybody, cool. Protects them from a disease. I'm totally all about that. But when someone wants to use it as a means to control people. And now what I'd like to say is the Communist Party, who we are trying to fight against here in this situation, is basically the way that they control people is through fear, is through intimidation. If you review the history of the Communist Party, especially as it's done the Cultural Revolution in China, Cultural Revolution, what you find is anybody that has reported on that, will show you that basically the communists in China, the Communist Party, the CCP as it's known, is a violent group of thugs. If you could think about like the poorest of the poor people on earth coming together and challenging a nation and taking it over basically through violence and any means, like sneaky deception, whatever, any way you could, the Communist Party has employed that for many, many years. In China, and back when they took over China, they basically kicked people out of China and ran them all into Taiwan. And so these criminal thug government that has now not really propagated itself across the globe, is now trying to, and it's now going to do that by undermining freedom, democracy, things that quite a bit of the world enjoys at this point. And so, back in the day, we used to fight against communism in this country, in the United States. In the 50s and the 40s, there was all the big thing against. There was the McCarthy hearings. McCarthy hearings were basically where there was this guy, Joseph McCarthy, who was like in the Senate or the Congress, and he basically went through and accused everybody and their mother of being a communist. And when Reagan got into office, and all the Republicans love Reagan so much, Reagan went in and basically fought the communists at every turn and every angle, everywhere they were across the globe. So the communists tried to spread across the globe back in the 50s, the 80s, and there's always been someone there to stop them. There's always been someone there to fight them. Reagan did in the 80s, and I'm looking back now and I see how horrible the Communist Party is in China right now, and I think, my God, dude. Even though I've never traditionally been Republican, I never would say, there's not a lot positive I could say about Reagan. I mean, it's not like I would never say anything. There's something wonderful about him that I learned about. Hey, I would promote that to everybody. But unfortunately, most of the things that I know about Reagan have been very negative. But one thing that I've learned that's been very positive, especially in light of current events, is that Reagan was very active in fighting communism globally. So this has happened all the way through the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Fighting communism. Communism was the big enemy. It wasn't terrorism. It wasn't viral threats. It wasn't this kind of stuff. It wasn't pandemic. It's always been communism. When I was a kid and we were in school in second, third, fourth grade, when you're just 10, you're real young, the teachers would come in and there was training on how to hide underneath your desk because we thought we were going to get hit by nuclear bombs from Russia. Communists, right? And they were the biggest enemy, throughout my life in America. That's always been the big enemy. It was always commies. It was those pinko commie bastards. That's what we know in America. That's what we've been trained about. That's what we see our military fighting forever. So then I get to be 20 and it's time for me to go out in the world and make a living. And I come to find out that all the jobs have been given to China or been imported Chinese people here to do work that I wanted to do. I was going to program computers. I was going to build the next awesome technology. That's all I wanted to do. I was in love with tech my entire life. So I decided I want to build the world's coolest new tech. And so that's what I dedicated my life to. And at 20, I come to find out, as I go and find very, very few interviews in the world, that both China and India have been basically the ones that Americans will prefer to hire. And most of the work has been sent over there, and American companies prefer to do business over there. And so it's really left me here with a bad, bad situation. So for most of my life in this country, I've been left exactly like everyone is right now. I've been left without a job because I wanted to program, wanted to make a lot of money for my family to take care of them because I've never come from a lot of family, and I wanted to be able to take care of any family that I could build in my life. I come from one single parent mother and never even got to know her that well because she was always out having to work all the time. So I wanted to have a family of my own, decided I was going to work really hard and be a programmer to make that happen. So went through college, University of Phoenix, working full-time, going to school full-time, doing the best I could, working so hard, made a 4-year degree happen in 10 years of darn hard work and no help from anyone. I had to get scholarships, which was help. I had to apply for scholarships. I had to take loans. I had to do all that stuff. It's been rough. Just to find out when I got done with it and I was ready to work that all this stuff had been sent to China and India. So I've had to sit around now and just have basically no health care, no job, no income, no nothing. But I did manage to build a family. I found a wonderful woman. I got the best kids in the world, and she's able to take care of us because I dragged her through an IT degree, basically. And so we both now have massive IT skills, and the world hired her, infinitely, no matter what. They would never say no to her. But to me, I've been completely left out in the cold, and it's because I've been told, as I went to the few interviews that I've had in life, that all of the work has been sent to China and India. So that being the case, I started to think, well, gee, how is it? Had a lot of time to think about stuff. Think about it. And how is it that we could be so So fighting against communism for all those years of my life, my whole childhood, all the way up 20 years, that's all I ever heard is fight the commies. Hide under your desk because nukes could come down at school. Like that was the thing, and then all of a sudden I go out in trying to get in the workforce to go take care of a family that I want, that I've never had. And no, it's been given away to the same bastards that the country's been fighting against my whole life. So I just started thinking, how in the hell, like the soldiers that died fighting communists in this United States, they just must be rolling over like the last 30, 40 years that I've been alive, because I'm almost 50 now. So from 20 to 50, the United States has given all of the business, shipped all the jobs, all the money, all the infrastructure over to China, and they are communists. Dude, we've been fighting them forever. So in essence, because of these greedy American business and the officials that promoted that, I remember George Bush, when he was in office, both of them promoted, send those jobs to China, dude. We'll give you credits, tax credits. And all it does is make honest, good, hardworking American families starve when that happens. And it's like, nobody even, hey, you know what? I can go put that all over the internet. Ain't nobody going to say anything. I put all of the news. Ain't nobody say a damn thing. It's just the difference between the parties, right? Everybody hates blue. Everybody hates red. But you know what? Everybody's cool when the red sends the jobs to other countries and the blue got to starve because of it. So I've had to learn to live rolling my sleeves up. I can't invest. I got to live off the land if I want to live, quite honestly. So I've had to, in the last year, I've really focused myself on that too. I have really learned how to live off of nature. If I had to go live up in the hills right now, I could live off of nature. I could go find the things that I would need to eat. I would find the water source, and I would find supplies. I would have firewood. I would have a shelter. I would have the ability to live in the true apocalypse. Like nuclear bomb comes down, all people get wiped out by a virus, turns into a zombie movie. Yeah, I know how to live. I figured out how to live because my country has trained me that way. So here I sit and I watch as the world burns around me. Basically, what I've come to find through all my research now, because whenever there's crazy events like this and the world's sent into turmoil, I research the hell out of it. I'm a man of information. I'm a man of the information age. I grew up with computers from a very young age. I'm a programmer. I know every single thing about it. So I know how to find information like that. So far what I'm finding is that it's a lot going on. It is crazy. I think there is something like having to do with like energy that's higher than just man. It's like there's like a universal energy that's going on right now. I don't know if you ever heard of like Mercury in retrograde. Mercury in retrograde. So that's like the planet Mercury when it's like spinning backwards or the wrong way, or it's in retrograde, right? It's a different path than it usually is. So I've always heard, there's problems with people going crazy and this and that over Mercury in retrograde, or we get a full moon and everybody's too crazy because nobody knows how to deal with the full moon energies, right? So there's these things, these energy forces that are kind of like outside of man's comprehension that affect man. I don't know if anybody really knows this, but I mean, a lot of people do. I don't know if you know this, watch it now, but the moon circles around the earth. Yeah, we all know that. But here's what you don't know. That gravity that the moon exerts on the earth pulls the water, the seas actually towards the moon and runs like a domino all the way around the earth. The moon goes around, and so does this wave from the ocean. Follows the moon around because it creates this additional gravity, this gravitational pull. Don't know where I was going with that. Kind of lost my track, but anyway, it's all about education. It's all about finding out the facts right now. I am Mr. Research, got on this, started researching everything. Come to find out that basically what's happened is we have fed the communist bastards that we've been fighting forever, right? I was saying that the soldiers in America who fought the communists for up until I was 20, all the last, up until the year 2000, basically, be rolling in their graves if they knew that Americans had just sold out to China, given all the resources to China. Like, come on, man, that's exactly what those people gave their lives for, so that we didn't do that. So it's like I've watched my fellow Americans spit on those veterans who I feel like deserve respect. Those ones that gave their lives to fight communism. Come on, man. You Republicans seem to love Reagan. He's the greatest guy in the world. Well, you know what he did? He fought communism, man, every step of the way. Every place they tried to go, he was there. Also, you could what? Honor those memories by sending all the infrastructure there, dude. You could have just not even fought the battle and sent the infrastructure there. Why did people's lives had to be taken so you could give the Chinese everything, dude? And I know why you did it, because you were greedy. You saw dollar signs thinking big billion Chinese people going to buy my crap. Well, you know what? No. Who ended up buying whose crap? Thought you was going to mold them into us, dude? By trying that, they're trying to mold us into them. And I got a big problem with that. Because like I ain't down with people getting beat in the streets. I've been watching some of the stuff that these Chinese do in the streets, man. They got like the police just straight up left, right, clocking, punching women, old men in the face. Like they just got no scruples there, man. It is just, it's a horrible place to live. If you listen to the description of other countries describe the people of both China and North Korea, slaves, straight up slaves. Imagine a human being that's been bred to not think on their own at all. They're there to be an automaton, right? A robot ran by the state. And if they need to give their lives in order for the state to go on, then that's what they're there for, man. That's what they are there for. That's why there's a billion of them there. So they can just throw a million fire whenever they need to protect them, to shield them, or whatever, attack someone, send a bunch of people out as kamikazes across the globe with a deadly virus. Look what they did there. So they keep pockets of these people that are just not really even people. They ain't like you and I, and they don't think with their own brains. These are people that can have like, buzzwords given, and like suddenly they just, like a zombie turn on and go murder people. I mean, we don't know. And that stuff is infiltrated everywhere in the U.S. I remember in San Francisco, I don't know, 10 years ago, something had like Waylon Yee or Governor, some mayor, I don't know, Yee. I remember Yee, and he was all corruption. What dude? That's infiltrated, man. The Chinatowns in every single country on earth. What do you think they're doing? Why do you think they're so secretive? Yeah, they're fun for us to go over there and check out and ooh and all over. But man, there's wet markets in those Chinatowns. Those Chinatowns sometimes buy up resources and send them all back to China before they unleash a pandemic. I mean, dude. I don't understand why America has just said, hey, the devil, let's go do the business with the devil. Because you know what? It's all good. We'll make some money with the devil. I don't care what the devil does. It's all good. That don't affect me. Dude, sorry, homie. Can anybody do business with the devil and not be affected? Straight up. If you're a business person, can you go out to a fellow business person, have them rape you, steal from you, like totally abuse you, and it's all good? No, man, that's not how we're supposed to work here in America. But you want to go do business with countries that are like that? Entire government that's like that? So that's exactly what has gotten us into this predicament. This is no accidental nothing, dude. If you believe that it got out from a market, which the government themselves over there, which lies left and right, is saying it didn't come from a market. They're saying it came from America. Didn't even come from China at all. Okay, cool. Now, I'll look into that too. I ain't going to blindly think, oh, America's so wonderful. Look what America's done to me, dude. Who knows? I got to research that too. Right? Bottom line is, though, if it didn't come from America, didn't come from the Wuhan market, because they're saying, go back and saying now, they don't even sell bats at the market. Couldn't be no virus from the market. Ain't no bats there. So they're going back and saying no virus from no market. Okay, cool. There's a P4 lab, highly secure lab. Now they're saying, okay, well, we're all theorizing because the communists don't want to tell us, because they're all about lies and brutality. They don't want to tell us that, they set the thing free. Of course they don't want to tell us that. They want to let us. So bottom line is this. If you think about it logically, how is it an accident that someone would, in all our possible scenarios, either allow it out of the market if there was bats. How did they do that? Because there was a 2003 outbreak of SARS where that same thing happened and they were supposed to outlaw those markets then. How did that happen? They're wrong for that happening. If it wasn't the market and it wasn't a bat, they let it out of the P4 lab. Okay. Why are they not better at keeping things in the P4 lab? Right? If you believe that's just coincidence and they accidentally, okay, cool. But then they found out they had a few cases. And instead of isolating those cases like they were supposed to do and notifying the world and keeping this from being what it is, instead they let 50,000 people go to Chinese New Year over there and get infected and then send them all over the globe. Accidental? Maybe. A whole string of amazing accidents like that? Oh, dude, this is straight up attack. Especially if you watch what's going on right now. They're over there buddying with North Korea, which they both have a pact. China and North Korea have a pact that if one of them gets attacked, they both get attacked. And they got to fight the same. They got to gang up. So, boom. World War III has already started right there with those two idiots ganging up on the United States. And you know who fed that devil for the last 30, 40 years? United States did. Took the lead. Gave up all the money, all the manufacturing, all the jobs that Americans should have been doing, like myself. Gave it up to China. Now China is deploying destroyers across the South China Sea to take over commerce that happens over there with all of America and her partners. They are testing long-range nuclear missiles right now. And they got a Belt and Road Initiative where they're going to roll roads into other European countries so they can suck up them resources too. Because now they're saying, hey, once the U.S. gets hit with this virus and they find out that we hate the USA, which they've always known, but they always look the other way, then they ain't going to want to be doing any business with it. So we better get a Belt and Road going real quick so we can go suck up someone else's resources, like ticks or like leeches. But you know, I don't swim in water where I know there's leeches. Like, I don't go there. If I know there's leeches in that water, I'm staying out of there. That's disgusting, right? But like, unfortunately, my American country has like been doing the backstroke in the lake with the leeches, in the communist lake of leeches. And you know, I could have done that like an idiot too, because the water would look cool and whatever. It fooled me into thinking, hey, it's an oasis, so it'd be great. But you know what? After swimming around for a while in that lake and I get bit up, you know, I lost 20 pounds worth of blood. Like, dude, I got to be smart enough to say, I need to get the hell out of this water and cut these damn leeches off. You know what I'm saying? And so China knows that. So they got Belt and Road. So they're going to, you know, belt your ass into making a road into your homeland where they take you over and they, you know, own you. And they're trying to do this everywhere. They're spreading like a virus right now. China is trying to spread everywhere into everything. They're trying to buy up chip manufacturers. At the same time, they're hacking our hospitals for the vaccine so they can sell it back to the world. Or just give it to their army and roll over the Western armies because they have the vaccine and we don't. But they stole it from us. But they could produce it quicker because they already got factories built waiting for our stupid asses to make the vaccine that they could hack from us, reproduce, and sell to the world. And we did it all for them. Just like we gave them all our business and sent all our businesses over there. Gee, devil, what else can I do for you? It's a country I got to live in, man. At a country I can't go be successful in because I'm awesome. And I can't go be successful in China because they're horrible, right? So, like, I got no country, dude. I'm like countryless. I feel like I've been homeless my whole life because I got no country that cares about me. And, dude, I tell you what, I live in a country that started tech. How are people going to say that India is better than Americans at tech? We started tech, yo. We created the tech. So that's just been a stupid Republican cop-out I've had to hear my whole life about, oh, Americans just fat, lazy, and stupid. Can't hire them. They want too much money. They're too dumb. They're fat. They're lazy. Dude, that's Americans telling me that. That's American business owners. They send those jobs to China because China won't be fat. They ain't lazy. And they will work for hella cheap for a while. They'll let you rip them for a bit. One of the communist Chinese said, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when they were dealing with Reagan's administration, bide your time. Just look like you're low, oh yeah, and just bide your time. And one day, when they don't know what's happening, sleep at the damn wheel, take out your fangs. And right now, what we're seeing is the tip of the fangs. And you know what's scary? We got politicians in office right now in bed with that devil. Both sides of the aisle, yo. I come to find out through research that both Mitch McConnell from the Republicans, always got to see his little grandma butt up on TV, head of the Republicans, looking like grandma. And then I get to see Biden over there taking his son over to China, over there kissing up to the devil, selling us out. Of course, dude, this is America. Ain't nobody into being patriotic or being an American. It's all about selling out, man. You talk to small business owners, which is 80% of the businesses in the USA, and guess what they all want to do? Guess what their main goal is? Guess what? They want to build that business so they can sell it the hell off. And if China comes to buy it, do you think they care? They don't care who buys it. Money's money. To them. And then you feed the devil, and the devil comes and says, I'm here to take you over. I'm here to liberate you. And guess what, man? It was your own damn fault. And you know what? I've been trying to support Americans and be on the side of Americans and work hard for Americans, go do cybersecurity for Americans, dude, and they left me destitute. So now what? Now what do? You've left me in a situation where I can't help you when you need it after you've been an idiot and hired the devil. You've reduced me to a YouTube broadcast, man. One that no doubt, when the government hears this, if you actually share this, my friend that is in here with me right now, there's one person. If you share this and this guy, tomorrow I'd have a shotgun shell in my back and an obituary that reads suicide. I go to all the news sources, every single one. I go to the hidden stuff that no one looks at that says, oh, that's a bunch of crap. InfoWars, oh, dude, I was all about InfoWars back when he was saying that George Bush had orchestrated the whole thing. That was totally obvious, too. So InfoWars, you know, they got a good mind over there. They're looking at stuff that's going on and wondering, you know, the same things that I am. So InfoWars, a lot of these ones that you're going to, can't even hear about InfoWars anymore because they've done shut them off every platform. They're trying to really silence them. But bottom line is, think about this for a minute. Freedom of speech in America, InfoWars banned everywhere. That dude from InfoWars cannot be on Facebook. He cannot be on Twitter. He can't be on nothing. Banned. Now, wait a minute. You don't ban someone from speaking freely in America, right? Not unless you're being taken over by the devil, communists. And as an American, I'm sure you're thinking, oh man, you jerkwad, you hate these communists? I don't even know anything about them, but god dang, you're a jerk. Really, dude? Educate yourself on the communists, bro. If I went out and found out about the communists and I found out they were sweet angels taking care of mankind, I'd be like, dude, we need to be over there investing in China, dude. They're so much better than these Americans that left me flat. But let me say this, son. If I can be treated like this from my own country, and I can still come back and say, all right, pick your stupid head out of the ground and work with me now, finally, for once in our lives, so I can make this a good world for the both of us. That's what I need right there. It's just for them to say, yep, that's it. That's all. That's how simple it is. For me, just not for them. So now I want to help, even though I've been so neglected. But you know what? I'm still willing to. Ain't nobody going to tell me in this life, communist, Republican, otherwise, that I can't be free. I can't think with my own brain. And I can't enjoy being alive. Human nature. the ups, the downs, the religion, the everything. Ain't nobody gonna tell me I can't do that, man. I will fight to the death against any communist or anybody who's gonna tell me I am a mindless automaton. I'm nobody's robot. I am the everlasting spirit of life. I do not die. When you can't see me, I still live and I will come back in physical form. But I'm always alive. I never die. These communists can be confused and want to destroy mankind, which is themselves. But I will just come right back and I will be freedom yet again in another nation, another life form, whatever it is on this planet. I'll come back over and over and over. I am like the waves of the ocean. There is no stopping human spirit. That's what's going on in the world right now. That's some education right there. If you're watching, I hope you're listening. I hope some of the things that I'm saying are helping you to research. Go watch the 9 commentaries about communism. I didn't know anything about that stuff. I didn't know about communism. I didn't know why they fought it so heavily in this country. Quite honestly, I'd been treated so bad in my own country. I started to think maybe communism was good, you know? I started to think, hey, you know, people taking care of one another. Nobody's got more than anyone else, you know? Everybody's happy and feeling free because they're trying to do better than the Joneses, you know? And I thought, hey, maybe that's the way. Maybe that's right. You know, hell, a lot of people into that. Russia's a big place. China's a big place. You got a lot of people, you know? Vietnam. Shoot, we lost that war, son. They stayed communist. So I really started. And then as I saw at 20, all the Chinese run around my neighborhood, my old neighborhood where I grew up after I got out of college, and they was running around with big fat car, big fat family, big jobs, living large, you know. And I'm wondering, what the hell, man, in my own country? Man, my own country, what the hell did I do? So out of the love of freedom, I'm willing to fight for freedom. I'm a freedom fighter. I love the truth. I love the freedom. I love life. I love spirit. I love being able to help others. I love when other people don't know none of this and I go share this with them and they go, damn, man. I started thinking about what you said the other day and my life's kind of changed, you know. I started noticing different stuff happening. And the more I get to them ideas, the more kind of cool stuff happens. That's what I like in life, man. Helping people. That's what it's all about. And there ain't no communist, ain't nobody gonna tell me I can't. You can keep me in poverty all you want. Communists can try to beat me and kill me, whatever, but you can never ever keep me from loving, from helping, from caring, from doing all I can for all life. Blade of grass to the human being. Microbe to the human being. I mean, invisible life to the human, like all life, man. It doesn't matter what it is. I even, you know, as much as I would be inclined to hate viruses, I even think that, you know, viruses can be used as vaccines. You know, bite. You had that venom. You can turn that to a vaccine, right? You can take the world's worst, heinous stuff and turn it to a positive, man. But you just got to have that mindset. See, it's the mindset of the positive mindset. I'm going to give it to you right now. Here's the most important piece of information in our lives right now. This mindset that wants to beat, submit, get people to submit, you know, beating people into submission, you know, is a virus mindset. It is a virus of the mind. That's what I call it, the virus of the mind. When I was young, my mom used to call it stinking thinking. It's always thinking about negative. It's always thinking about drama. It's always thinking about fighting. And, you know, that's exactly the premise of the Communist Manifesto. Class struggle. Struggle with your fellow man. Now, that's cool if they want to struggle with themselves, but the other problem is they believe in global domination. So you can't have struggle with man and being a global domination. Like you got to be a citizen of the earth, right? Like we're all in a bar, you know. China's a guy over there, America's a guy over there, you know. Europe guy there, and each person in that bar has got to be like, you know, can't go throwing up tables and pissing on the floor and pooping in the corner and, you know, spreading diseases in there. Like, you know, you got to be a good citizen so we can all have a drink. You know, but that's what there's bouncers for. You know, in that world bar, we need a bouncer to say, hey, you know what? You're going to act up. You get the hell out. You go behind the red curtain. You go behind the red line at the front door. You go to the end of the line. See if you get in tomorrow. And if you can't behave tomorrow, then we're just going to put your face up behind the bar and you can't come to the club. Now, I expect that behavior from global citizens. Now, when you want to go aid the behavior of that citizen in the bar that wants to poop and piss on the floor and throw over the tables, and you help them, and you're in my group, dude. Like, I swear to God, dude, I feel like I want to revolt against the tyranny of China, but it's so interwound and intertwined with my own damn country. There's a news story recently where somebody who says that they basically escaped from China informed the Australian media that there were Chinese subversives all throughout Australia. So they are in their government, in their universities, in their everywhere, and they are communist employees. The mindless drones that will attack on the mentioning of a word because they are so brainwashed. And they're out there just living lives large in America, in Australia, UK has just taken away from its own people the science, the education, the things that matter to humanity, to our Western way of life. So I always hear this phrase, our way of life. Yeah, I thought universities and things like that were treasure were part of our way of life. But apparently our way of life is open to Chinese intrusion if necessary, right? So we can have what? Cheap Chinese crap? Oh, is that what all this trade's all about? So we can have cheap Chinese crap. That's cool that the politicians all think that the cheap Chinese crap that breaks so easy that we all hate is so wonderful. Or maybe they're just not using that cheap Chinese crap that we all got to use. Maybe they're actually going out and buying the nice stuff and they don't even know what the cheap Chinese crap is, but the rest of us do. And hey guys, would it be worth selling your kids and their body organs so that you could have that cheap Chinese crap? We'll tell you what, that's exactly what's on the agenda for China. And we're over there been feeding that for the last 30 years. Let me give you all the money I got so you can eat my kids' organs, China. Really? Dude, I'm a scientist. I'm a thinker. I'm like the modern Jesus. I'm like the modern Einstein. I'm like the modern Aristotle, dude. Please. Why do I have to live with this stupidity? I didn't know those guys in the 50s that fought against communism. Even I feel bad for those dudes. I didn't know nothing about them. I was born in the 70s, man. I was born in Nixon time of Watergate and all that criminal behavior, you know. So it's like this. Bottom line is, if you're Democrat, Republican, communist, whatever, if I see evil behavior and you taking things away from people that they need, that's an abuse of human rights. So when Republicans want to have national health care tied to employment, that's an infringement of my human rights to be able to go to the doctor regardless of consumer consumption, consumer demand, or business needs or failures. So I'm not too sure who voted in that election for that and voted for that, but I was not part of that election. And I'm voting for something else. Anything else is an infringement of my human rights. I love how America can talk about the infringement of the human rights in China, in Korea, but what about the infringement of the human rights here, man? You want to send money to those that are infringing on human rights so that those in your own country can have no right to live, no on their own. Are you kidding me? So ultimately, guys, virus of the mind is what's going on here. It's severely, severely disturbed in the communist mentality, but it also affects people in other Western cultures too. So in my own United States, I got people that have stinking thinking. They've got virus of the mind is what I call it. It's a virus of thinking. So it's almost could be equated to like a mental illness. Mental illness. Someone who believes that it's wonderful to run around killing and maiming and torturing, you would say mental illness. It's one who runs around with the characteristics of talking to themselves and this and that, and looking like other people are there. You have to recognize. You can't say, "Hey, let's vote them as to be the president." Instead, you have to, as a sane person who wants purity in your environment, say, virus of the mind doesn't get to rule. So communists, get the hell out. I'm going to hire Americans. And what are we going to tell Americans? Well, here's what we're going to tell Americans from the beginning. In schools, we're going to have free lunches for all the kiddies. And these free lunches are going to be healthy. And there's no option of junk food anymore. No ability to poison yourself. And the message is going to be there. There's no one there providing that poison for you. When you're a little kid and you're presented with, have a healthy option, and here's your unhealthy option. What you want to do the right thing. As a kid, I would ask, why don't you do the right thing? Why don't you not even provide an unhealthy option? What are you doing? Aren't you an adult? Aren't you a parent? So, healthy foods. And it doesn't have to just be salads. We need to get creative, right? If France has nothing but healthy foods, they all look wonderful. They're not dying of clogged arteries, and they're not obese, right? They have the same similar kind of fattening foods here, but it's wonderful, healthy, delicious, and their kids are not dying of the things that we are dying of. So let's do that. Let's do that. Let's quit trying to do it our way, because our way sucks and doesn't work. Let's do what France is doing. Right? Free, healthy lunches, kids. That sends the message, hey, you know what? We care about you from the beginning. We care about you from the get-go. That is going to instill in kids a mentality that's not virus mindset. It's going to be take care of others. As I was taken care of. It's an example. It's an early example of how to take care of yourself and others. And that's the message that is not being shared with the youth. And that's why we have the problems that we have. So to eradicate the virus of the mind, we will do exercises that promote the healthy mentality. So virus of the mind will allow for unhealthy lunches, junk food. Why do we even put resources? All I ever hear is how there's such limited resources. Well, if there's such limited resources in the world, don't waste them on junk food. Don't waste it on poison. And quite honestly, it seems like there's a multitude of poison versus healthy stuff. If there's limited resources, why is food healthy versus healthy if there's a limited amount of resources? So we've come to a crossroads now. America gets to either try to continue on keeping people like me unemployed, hurting its own people for no reason whatsoever, leaving us all with no health care, no employment, no nothing. And feeding everything that we should be getting fed over to China and North Korea, and God knows they're giving billions to all dictators, man, when their own people don't have what they need. So Crossroad time now. It's time for people to say, I'm done being lazy, done trying to be investment class that only just invests a little and tries to get a lot at the expense of someone else. I'm done being the American that says, the hell with that other family, I'm going out for mine, because that's what led to the hoarding and the no toilet paper and this whole BS attitude. And I knew it was going to happen in the United States of America. The first thing that would happen in this pandemic was the KKK be spitting on everybody, which was the first news story I saw. And then everybody started to hoard the toilet paper, graciously thinking, wow, I have fellow American families that live next door to me and they need to wipe their asses too. So let me just be a decent human being and take what I need for mine and leave the rest. Nah, not in America. That's not an American value. Patriotism, watching out for your own fellow American, God, hell no. The last thing anyone would ever want to do. God knows American companies don't want to hire fat, lazy, or stupid. Especially if it wants a lot of money. So now is the crossroads for, I hate what's going on, but I would really love it if I could finally watch my fellow American Republicans, Democrats, all of them say, that's it. We focus on nature. We focus on health. We focus on employing Americans. Anything short of that gets to leave the room. We throw up walls now. We don't need no global economy. We never did. What does all of the idiots say here? All of the main financial Wall Street? We have all the money in the world. We're still the fun bags. Everybody's got to come to us. Hey. Then why did we ever go poking around in places where there's coronavirus? If we'd have our walls thrown up, we wouldn't have communist subversives all throughout our land, taking up our universities, taking up our government. My God, have you seen a news story yet that has not been an Asian face to tell you all about how we need to fight the pandemic that the Asian face is unleashed on us? And you know, I love anybody who's righteous. I don't care what your face is. The righteous ones in China and the righteous ones in my own country, those are my people. Righteous is righteous. But you know who's not righteous? My own fellow Americans that decided I was not righteous and that I was not worthy of my family eating so that evil people's families could. That's what I don't appreciate. So I've never felt like a patriot much in this country ever. But you know what, man? This attack on us from China, because that's exactly what it is, made me feel like a patriot for the first time in my life. Even though I've been treated so horribly by my own goddamn country. Shoot, my dad, who I just found out about February of last month, I'm 45 now. I just found him February last month at 45 for the first time in my life. See, when I was old, my mom went to him and said, hey, listen, we haven't seen each other in 9 months, but this is your baby. And that loser looked at her and looked at me and said, man, you could have had that baby with anybody, dude. That ain't my baby. I ain't taking care of you. I ain't taking care of that baby. We're done. And I never got to have a father in my life. Got to have one hell of a strong ass mom, work 2-3 jobs all the time to keep me in clothes and food. Best she could. God bless her soul. But that stupid Republican dad I had just walked the hell away, left me alone my whole life. And then when I worked really, really hard to have a family, put myself through college, 10 years to get a 4-year degree, beg, borrow, and, well, never steal because I ain't that kind of guy, but I beg and borrow all I could to go to college, and I got myself a 4-year degree just so I could hear from more Republican men that, hey, man, I want to give my money to the devil. I don't want you. We got to feed that communist animal that's going to take over the globe and harvest all our organs for money, dude. That's who I got to give my money to. So, hey, fellow American, you and your family can just starve. Yeah, I'd rather it that way. And now I'm 45, and that's who I got to go support now. That's who I got to go protect. That's who I got to go feel good about, my fellow American. All the way from my daddy to all of them employers. But you know what I still do? Because I know there's righteous Americans in this country that would fight and die for the freedom to speak what's on their mind, to express that they want to program computers, even if they got to live in a country that doesn't let them do it. I know there's good, righteous people in this country still. I started watching in research this dude, Bob Spalding. I call this dude Captain America. Research Bob Spalding. Story of Bob Spalding is he basically was just a happy-go-lucky American, basically got in the military just for shits and giggles, wound up being an American general. They sent him to China as liaison to basically, really as a spy, not even a liaison, but as a spy to go figure out how we need to protect ourselves in the USA from China or from whatever threat. You know, he's supposed to come back and say whatever threat. He came back and said, the number one threat, guys, not Al-Qaeda. It ain't ISIS. It ain't none of that crap. You got to worry about China. He spent 1 year there speaking the Chinese language because they taught it to him. And he came back and he went and told the Joint Chiefs his story. And because the phone industry wants to roll out 5G and it's all in the hands of China right now, they fired him. So now Bob Spalding is Captain America all over the United States telling everybody his story about how we were not supposed to feed the devil, and now the devil has come to collect. So for anybody who thinks this is just an accidental, oopsie, I released a stage 4 contaminant to the world to kill millions. Oopsie, my bad. Nah, dude. You don't release it from the bat. You don't release it from the market. You don't release it from the lab. You don't release people who are infected out globally. Like that's none of that is accidental. If one of those was accidental, I would say you're a moron and we should kill you. Dude, there's no way a chain of 10 of those things is accidental. There's just not. This is the first wave of attack, dude. Think about this. China is right now actively trying to buy up every maker of microchips globally, including the United States. And these idiots are going to sell to him. Other countries are being smart enough to say no. I'm sure the Americans will sell the hell out, as will England and probably the other lazy-ass Western nations. So they're trying to actively buy up all the microchips. So here's the thing. They unleash the virus. They own 5G and all the microchips, and now they have a slave state put globally. So they can monitor us with the drones and the new 5G and monitor our citizens, our movements, our anything. So then they know exactly where our leaders are to make accidents happen. All of a sudden now, in the next few years, we find that most of our leaders are getting blown up like Princess Diana did out of nowhere for no reason. How'd that happen? Chinese drones that we're putting in the police stations as we speak are funneling that data over to China right now. Go research Hikvision. Hikvision cameras. The last job I had was at a company utilizing Hikvision cameras because the law says that these companies had to have cameras in their establishments now. So Hikvision cameras were installed, the cheapest Chinese garbage you could find, and that's got wires straight into the servers in China. These are security cameras. So we got the security cameras all over the United States hooked to 5G, installed by China. And we've got all the drones watching us by a totalitarian regime that has all of our politicians bending over and in bed with them, i.e., from the Republican side, we got Mitch McConnell, who apparently has ties to, and this blew my mind, there is a guy in China who the head of the Chinese Gestapo. The purpose of the Chinese Gestapo is to kill Falun Gong. Falun Gong are a peaceful people in China, a religious sect, who are persecuted by the millions. They are harvested for their organs. They are tortured to death, and they are hated because religion is not allowed in China, and they are a religion. I feel like right now the entire world is Falun Gong except for a communist Chinese party. So I'm not into having my organs harvested. I'm not into being Falun Gong. I've got my own religion, and like I'm not into. I realize a lot of Americans may just be willing to sell out. Hey, a buck. My fellow Americans, fuck their organs, and the hell with their anything. I don't care about my fellow Americans. I step over homeless guys in the street. I wish they were gone. I wish they didn't exist. Right? Cool, man. It's that same virus of mind that you share then with communists that want to kill us all, including themselves. Blow up the earth, no more mankind. That's healthy, bro. No, so it turns out when this kind of virus of the mind is like so prevalent and like threatening the happy hippies like me that are just, growing my sunflower seeds in the sunshine, like I got to come out and get my gun now, dude. I don't like to have to do that. All because my fellow Americans were too stupid. And if you go back through my Facebook and you look since 2008, since the big bubble burst with the housing bubble, that was my first ranting about all of this in 2008, dude. I've been yelling about this to my friends, family, coworkers, anybody who would listen, my whole life, basically. Why is it America just gave up all their lives to fight communism and now they're just rolling over to give everything to the communists? Like, what the hell is that, dude? So, man, I'm a chess player, and like I see chess moves way down the road, 20 moves deep. I always win just because I got a brilliant mind and I'm able to see deep. And when I see what's going on right now, unfortunately, I can see all the moves and where they all end. Oh, I see where all paths end, and it ain't pretty. It is not pretty. I don't know, like I was trying to say earlier, I don't know if Mercury's a retrograde or we got a full moon or whatever's going on, but like I go through the news to see what other stuff is happening because, we're all too caught up with between coronavirus and toilet paper. I don't know what I'm more frightened about. But the bottom line is that I look for other news stories. What else is going on? It turns out there's like a meteor that NASA's and forgot how to blow up. Otherwise, it's going to have a direct course on Earth. I'm seeing locusts in another part of the country. I'm seeing tornadoes, rain, snow in other parts of it. It's not ever usually like that. I mean, of course, we have the global warming, which I believe to be a combination of, yes, too much stuff coming out of the cars, but that in combination with a repositioning of the poles. The poles in the Earth are the magnetic poles, a north and a south pole. Think of this as a battery, okay? You have a positive and you have a negative at the end of the battery. And in essence, because of that, you have kind of like a bubble of electromagnetic protection from the sun. When those poles shift or move, which they can because the insides of the Earth is magnetic and it's molten lava shifting and moving all the time, the magnetic poles, the positive and the negative, the Earth can move. And this affects the bubble and makes the bubble so that it gets like indented or moves more over here or less over there. And before you know it, you have more sunshine coming in on a part of the world that you've never had on that part of the world before. And this is the explanation for why we have the global warming phenomena. It's not necessarily all the gas. Yeah, the gas makes it heat up and makes the molten core of the Earth do more crap, and that makes the poles shift. So it's a whole, everything's connected. Not everything is just one or the other. I know most people like to look at things as just one puzzle piece, and they can just wrap their mind around that one puzzle piece. But you know what, dude? There's 1,000 other pieces to this puzzle, So like we've got to be open to, and here's where God comes into play, all right? God, knowing God, is the ability to connect my little tiny cable cord into the wall. God is what's past the wall. God is the water that's past the pipe. God is the electricity that's in the wall and goes back to the factory or the wherever. Like that's what God is. God's the source. God's the ocean, if you will, and I'm just a drop, right? But I carry that same power as the ocean, as just being a drop. Even though I'm not the entire electrical grid, I have the power of electricity just at my one little tiny cable here. That's the power of God. That's knowing what God is. It's knowing that there is some other thing that is far larger, but you're a part of. This whole idea of being part of something larger is absolutely infinitely true. But we have people that are more than willing to tell us otherwise for financial gain. If I can cut you off and make you think you can't live on your own, you got to go to Safeway. If I got to make you think you can't go live in a shelter you build, you got to live in a house that I build because I got, zoning laws, right? Like I have made you think in your head, I've given you virus of the mind that you cannot survive on your own, which is completely, inherently, and totally false. You absolutely, always can live completely free of anyone else's economy. Let me point this out to you. Imagine Trump pisses off Kim Jong. Kim Jong sends his nukes over here. We've already got a pandemic over here. We've already lost all the money to China over here. Like, it's just horrible over here now, right? Well, what happens? What happens when people are starving, when there ain't no more food, and everyone's running around killing each other trying to find food? Well, if you know how to hike to the hills, go into a land mass with your family that's way deep, far enough that nobody can find you, and you got seeds where you can plant up some food and you can find some water and you can catch some fish, you could live a new life. Your own economy. They didn't have to be connected to the devil's economy. That's nothing more than fear being put in you for someone else's gain. So if you just understand what I'm saying, it takes away any fear, because you can always survive on your own and you don't ever have to think about surviving because of someone else. Now, I've had to learn this mentality because my gracious country that I ran out and said, I want to be the best programmer in the world and make the best technology to protect you from cyber attack from people like North Korea and China, all told me, no, we got to hire China. And here we are, end of the world. Awesome. But you know what? Okay. Because if you're smart like me and you know how to go to the top of the hill and you know how to live in nature, you ain't got to fear anything. You don't have to fear the devil. You ain't gonna be part of the devil's machinery. You don't have to be a cog. You don't have to be nothing but what you want to be. You might have to work hard, but you know what? That's part of what life is. Life is not about the easy work. Life is about the hard work. But you know what? There's something so inherently honest about that hard work. If I had to maintain my own homestead, where I was taking care of my own crops, I was taking care of my own animals, I was doing my own thing, and nobody could be in between that, that's me knowing God, straight up. That is my church. I could go live in nature, and I'd be in church 24 hours. Emerson and Thoreau, two great authors in America early in the 1800s, actually did that, went out to go live in nature on homesteads they created out in the boonies, and they came back with some of the most amazing scripture. It is literally the writings of divine word in books. And they found it through being in nature. Nature gives us everything. Right now, the disrespect of nature that communists do in China has led to the revealing of this coronavirus. Had they not had any inclination to detriment, this would have never even came out. We would have never known about it from bats. I mean, if we didn't live so close in proximity to bats, none of this. So I got to wonder, and I've been asking the question, China, if this was all an accident, I could plausibly see a story such as bat comes out, bites a Chinese citizen, they get sick, so they want to harness the bat, find out about coronavirus to come up with a vaccine or something to help people that have been bit inadvertently through no, bad behavior of their own, let's say, innocent behavior. Totally plausible scenario. Then they have a P4 lab where they have this vaccine in the lab, and they are researching it to help people, right? That makes sense to me. this is released accidentally, then we go in. They are totally open and fine for us to go in and say, look here, we've been working on this thing because our people are getting bit and we've got this vaccine we've been working on, but we haven't finished it up. We've been trying. Dude, China, if that was the case, if you were a decent human being, I'd be like, hey, China, dude, I'm here to help you. Let's do it. Let's find out who the patient zero was and trace the whole thing back and do whatever the scientists got to do to get this back, man. That's how it should be. That's how it's supposed to be. Easy. But China just ain't making it that way. And so all you can know then is it was no accident, man. Anybody who tries to cover up to this degree is doing something malicious. And it's so funny because Americans don't know squat about Chinese. We just know that all the American businesses want to go there and basically make money off them. That's the American dream. Go to China and make a bunch of money off of them. And they're not into being used like that. They're not into being disrespected like that. And that's the one way that I actually respect those damn commies, is the fact that they've been sitting there biding their time this whole time, but it was with malintent. It wasn't to just say, hey, come, make money off of me. I'm just going to work real hard like a dummy and make you a bunch of money. Hey, no, they're not about that, dude. Smarter than that stuff. They ain't about working for the bourgeoisie and they're about proletariat. So if you go back to the Communist Manifesto and you find out what communism is all about, then you find out that the communists basically want to overthrow the world through violent means, and they have no intention of putting up with landowners, business owners, even rich peasants. If you were a peasant, if you worked the land with the rest of the land workers and walked in poo all day and you had any kind of money, your ass was on the menu in the communist structure. So the things that Americans have been giving to China, all the money and the resource and everything, China's been hating the Americans as they take that from them and just biding their time. Joe Biden, their time, I guess, is what they've been doing. So we now have to have another scenario like these Joe McCarthy hearings back in the 50s, where Joe McCarthy went through and called out anybody he thought was a communist. It was like the Salem witch trials, but with communists. And I swear to God, dude, we need that again now today. We need someone to stand up and say, hey, you know what? I smell a communist on Joe Biden. I smell a communist on Mitch McConnell. And you know what? Oh, did I even finish my story? Mitch McConnell, wife, ties to the Chinese Gestapo in charge of killing millions of Falun Gong. Whoa. As Americans, we don't know about China. We don't know about their Falun Gong. We don't know about their nothing. We just know they're human rights abusers. Really, what does that mean? What does human rights abusers mean? Does someone go out and say, hey, you don't get health care unless you have a job? Does someone go out there and say, hey, you don't get no health benefits. You don't get no health insurance. You don't get no time off. That's just paid time off even if you ain't sick. You don't get nothing. Well, you know what? That stuff is horrible, and that's an infringement of my human rights. But my God, dude, the communists, that stuff would be a joke to them. Like even having the conversation that we would have, any of that stuff would be grounds to roll on the floor. So what I've come to learn about the Chinese Communist Party is they're just a gang of crooks, thieves, criminals. They lie, cheat, steal. In order to form their party back in the 50s, they did kidnappings. That's how they got the money. That's how they started. That's how they got to overthrow China, was by doing kidnappings. That was how they started in their infancy. They were chased around by basically Russian-trained Chinese forces at the time, and were chased around from here to there. I think they're called the KMT, the KTM, or anyway, they were chasing around these early Chinese communists, and the communists were just doing anything and everything evil they could to stay in power. After 10 years of them running around hiding, being kind of like, guerrilla warfare kind of thing, the regular society just said, oh, the hell with you. And that's when they struck hard. That's when they came out of their holes and they did the Cultural Revolution. Cultural Revolution in China was basically a gang of thugs and criminals and real bad people. The criminals of society basically rose up. We're not going to tolerate landowners, business owners, rich people, so thugs that can't stand people, basically. especially rich people. And so the other thing they can't stand, communist China, communists in general, is religion, because with religion, it's harder to control people. So they basically, in the Cultural Revolution, went through as thugs and thieves, criminals, gangsters, and just destroyed the beautiful ancient Chinese culture that originated from things like Taoism. Tao is the way, Tao, the way, and Confucianism. We've all heard about Confucius, so Confucius was really intelligent. And what I come to find on researching Confucianism was all based around filial love. That meant family love. So there was a certain way that the son respected the father and the father respected the family. And there's a dynamic between everybody. And it was all about family love. And then when that spilled over and was just as great as it could be, as perfected as it could be, it spilled over into the neighbors. And then from the neighbors, it spilled into the community. And then from the community, it spilled into the state, and from the state into then it just went on and on. And it's just like this sea, it's the ocean, it's the tsunami of love. It's the power that is in me as a drop, but it's this wave, and it's beautiful. It is just so beautiful. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing. So, I am here now galvanizing wonderful people who wish to know what is going on, who wish to know facts and information, because I have had a lot of time to spend researching not only these things, but many other things in life. And this is just, pointing to things that I've figured out and other things I've researched in life. So I'm a big researcher. I love to figure things out. Consider myself a smart guy. Always things to know, always more things to learn. But basically, we're being attacked by China right now. This is phase one of the attack, where they basically soften up all the military, they soften up all the people. They make sure that their implants are now dictating propaganda to us, so that we got to watch for people in the government who are going to tell us, hey, the communist government's great. You need to open your mind to them, and here's what they stand for, and blah blah blah. Like, we can't listen to that crap, man, because it's all about lies, right? The gangster and the thug government runs off lies, right? That's what they do. They harvest organs, they kidnap, and they're in the lies. Like, those are their mainstay of their budget. Aside of that, it's now the American economy. So they started off with the criminal means to get started, and then Americans came along and said, "Hey, brother, we got a lot in common. Let's do some business together." And here's what the Americans do. This is so horribly disgusting. Captain America, Bob Spalding, who, you can research this guy, go watch him yourself, basically said after they fired him, after the telecos fired him because he was talking about how we got to worry about China, and China's all trying to create 5G, and the telecos are all about 5G. He basically said that, God, I lost my train of thought again. Basically said that America's done from investing in China like they have. That basically America has given all the resources and infrastructure to China to destroy us. And so, man, I'm just like, I've got to fight this. I've got to stand up and fight this. I've got to stand up and say something. I've got to stand up and educate. So I have been frantically researching. What's interesting is I research not just, I don't just look at NBC. I don't look at just Fox. I look at all of them. Even stuff I don't like or I don't agree with, I look at all of them to make sure what's going on. I even go investigate the Chinese propaganda stations. So if you go look for just coronavirus news on like YouTube, you'll find this one that's called like CGNTV or CGNT or some crap like that. It is straight up some Chinese woman who's been very, very trained in English language, very articulate, to go up there and push the Chinese agenda, dude. And it is so unbelievably like, she's up there. So how did this pandemic happen from our poor, unrelenting like leaders? How did this happen to them? Like, they're so unbelievably like innocent in this. Like, what happened? And then the other guy that she's the scientist she's talking to is, our fearless, unbelievable leaders must been attacked from some other country. There's just no other way. And like, it is phenomenal to watch these newscasts of like what seems to me just complete and utter lies, like straight up trying to control my mind. And what's unfortunate is I have come to find through my research in the history of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, it's exactly the tactic they use on people is deception. without deception, without violence, like they would never ever be able to have started in the first place, nor continue on their power now. So the things that were horrible, we watched them do back. We fought them back in the 50s when we were fighting them damn commies because they were just horrible, evil monsters of human beings. Um, they're doing the same thing now, but like we're not ready to go fight them. We don't have any soldiers, any warriors that are right willing to say, let's go defeat communism. We don't have any people in our Congress because they're all in bed with the Chinese. They're not willing to say, let's go send the military to China. It is disgusting. It is unbelievable. And it's honestly making me feel like we have already been taken over. As an intelligent man that plays chess and can see 20 moves down the road, I've attained a philosophy in my life, and that is a lot of the times I've already won the game because I'm 20 moves down the road and you're still playing the game. So I've already won and you're still playing. From what I'm observing from the United States, China has already won the game and we are still playing. American companies at this moment, as the Chinese are hacking our servers, buying up our companies, and have spread a lethal virus on us, our American companies are over there showing them how to build 5G so they can be the owners of 5G globally. Now, 5G, for those of you that don't know, here's a little education. I had to find out about what 5G was myself. I know I keep talking about that, and you're probably wondering, well, Dan, what the hell is the 5G? What is this all about? Okay, we have certain bandwidth right now at 4G that was pretty good a couple years ago. And 4G allowed us to do a lot of things, if you remember. You could really send pictures and video and stuff on like super fast on 4G, as opposed to the old 3G network where it was primarily used for talking. It was for voice, right? So 4G really stepped us up from the voice network to the data network. And the data network, the 4G, was the super fast. And now it's already old. 5G is the new super fast. But here's the thing. The 5G is not only super fast, but accommodates much more data. The way that Captain America, Bob Spalding, explained to me what 5G was is, think about this. We've all heard about Big Brother, the cameras everywhere, they're watching everything. That's exactly what 5G is. It is going to allow for so much data that we will have cameras literally everywhere in the United States. If you thought it was bad now, if you thought we're camera happy now, China is going to try to build up its power and make more money by inserting more cameras and more drones into the American society, because they feed right back into the Chinese servers beyond the firewall that we can't get through, so they can spy on us all the stinking time. And our American businesses and government leaders are selling us out to this right now. Go research and find out if your own police department is currently buying Chinese drones to spy on American citizens, dude. Go find out right now. I'll bet you anything they're being installed right now for a huge 5G rollout that they want to happen right now. You know why? The way Spalding explained 5G to me was, you no longer need a phone. Imagine your brain is an IP address. Your phone is an IP address. It's got a little hex value address on it that's unique upon the other billions of addresses out there. It's called a MAC address, media access control. MAC addresses are unique hex values. Hex value gives you not only 1 through 10, but 1 through 16 on every slot. Massive, massive data. 5G means cameras everywhere. So why is that a big deal? Why cameras everywhere? What's the problem? If I'm not doing anything wrong, that's wonderful. When you're not doing something wrong and you want to convene in a group to go talk about what your evil government is doing to you and how you got to fight them, there used to be an amendment for the right to assemble. The right to assemble is so that we could take our guns, we could assemble, and we could storm the federal Bastille, the White House, if need be. If they were bought out by communists, or if they were just evil and had changed the Constitution so that they were dictators, whatever, like, that's the reason we have the right to assemble and the right to guns. Now, I've never been a big gun guy. I hate guns. I think guns are for the weak. But you know what? Now that you put me in this situation, my own country,
I've got this to say. McConnell, Biden, you may be assisting communists to point their guns at me, but I have a Second Amendment. I don't like guns. I don't ever want to have to use guns. But by God, if anyone thinks that I'm going to let my government treat me like they treat the people in communist China, I'm going to be the biggest supporter of the Second Amendment you have ever come across. I'm not the kind of individual that just lays down and cries and wonders why and how. I fight. I stand up. I go live in nature if I have to. That's who I am. And unfortunately, if I have to have a gun to survive, or even a nuke, or live in nature, like, I'm willing to do whatever it is, because the human nature, beautiful, perfect, divine human nature, which we all have, deserves to live. And not only live, but to thrive. Human nature in their own country, in places that don't make them sick or hurt, and pay them a living wage. Human rights dictates in an American democracy, I have the right to a job that pays me a living wage, especially if I've obtained the skills on my own to go do said job. You know, I always wondered, we're so into evidence in this society, but how come there's no evidence ever required when someone's fired from a job? How many times have you lost a job when you've done nothing wrong at all but try to make someone look good, do extra work for someone, or make the boss extra money, only to be proven to be look like an idiot or malintent when it's total false? But people love to believe lies and untruth and drama rather than hear the honest truth about a good, hardworking person. That's always how it is here. Why? And you know what's so sad is I disagree with that so much. I can see the communists wanting to destroy it. But it's so sad because the communists, it seems, and that virus of the mind I find in my country, it's like they're intertwined, but they hate each other. And that's what's so crazy about virus of the mind. And that's why I can't stand people that show virus of the mind. It's this incongruency. You know, it's talking out of both sides of your mouth. And so that's how I can figure out if someone's a liar or if they have malintent. If someone is angry, whatever, backstabbing, smiling, what, like, I have to know. I get to know everything. I research. I'm a very good judge of character. I'm very good at looking right through people. I've always said this too. I have more respect for the barbarian that says, I'm going to kill you. I have more respect for that than the barbarian that doesn't say they're going to kill me, they're going to help me, but they have the intent of killing me. Like, I got more respect for the one that's honest about my murder than the one that's lying to me about my murder. You know what I'm saying? But I'm one of these guys that I don't hide, I don't cower, I don't cry. I get angry when people try to force me into a corner and when people try to tell me I can't be who I want to be. That anger, and what I do in that anger and that rage is I turn it to positivity, positive anger and rage. And this is what I mean. We all know the stories of Jesus in the Bible when Jesus went to go into the temple and they had the people that were selling stuff, the merchants in there, and they were allowed in the temple, but the lepers who needed to go hear God's word the most, who needed the miracles of God, were not allowed in the temple. So he got angry. Jesus got angry, went in there, flipped all those tables upside down, smashed their crap and said, how dare you? Get the hell out of my God's house. You get out of my Father's house. You don't come sell your wares here. This is a place for human spirit to come and recharge with the Spirit of the one, with the Father of all of our spirits. And that's who is allowed in here. And it's every one of us has got a spirit. So that's righteous anger. That's righteous anger. So when I'm pushed, righteous anger comes. When I have to protect the lambs from the wolves, righteous anger comes. Unfortunately, if I could still be a lamb and defend the lambs from the wolf, I do it. But when you have to defend from the wolves, not only do you sometimes have to be a wolf, sometimes you got to be a lion. So I'm a man of God. I'm a man of peace. I do not believe in guns, but you know what? In order to defend my family, my freedom to, even in this crap life I've been given by my fellow Americans, even this I would sacrifice anything for, as opposed to being a brutalized automaton for a Chinese regime. That I draw the line. I will fight to the death. Even though I've been left unemployed, I've been left with no dad, I've been left without a lot in this life. I would fight to the death for freedom. And I now know what freedom is. I've said that there's a lot that we could do to be even more free in this country. I've actually considered contemplating creating a new political party. Everybody hates Republicans, Democrats. Why? Because they're both going after money. Democrats are poor people chasing money. Republicans are rich people chasing money, or trying to keep that money away from the poor people. But they're all about money in their own ways, and nobody likes that. Nobody likes to hear that their kids will be taken care of over some issue about money, or there will be clean food, water, or air, all based on politics. Like there's things that just cannot be tainted by politics. There's things that cannot be tainted by the party. So I say this, okay, great. If the both parties that we have that are dominant in the United States are all about money, let's have a new party that's all about people. It's about healthcare, national healthcare. It's about healthy immune systems that don't eat junk food. It's about jobs for Americans where there's tons of benefits and time off. So if there ever was a pandemic ever again, would matter to Americans. Everybody's got a little cushion, some time off from work, and nobody loses their job. That's what Americans have always needed. And I see anything other than that an infringement of my human rights. The same thing that communist China does. So I say, fine, if we have a broken two-party system, let's make a new party. Party that respects nature, number one. Respects the earth. Respects the people and all the life on that earth. Now, this is in direct contradiction to the Communist Party manifesto over there in communist China. And I know it's in direct contradiction to a lot of American business owners who would love to just pollute the environment and step over his fellow homeless man to make an extra dollar. And it's that virus mind that has allowed the connection to the virus of the mind in the communist Chinese. And that virus needs to be stamped out. It's not good for mankind. The virus of the mind is a cancer, and it threatens the entire globe. So we must all now be surgeons, and we all must remove the cancer. The virus of the mind must now die. When the virus of the mind is dead, that will in fact be a new world order, where only the righteous rule and only the righteous live, where no man, no being feels the need, through fear or any other means, to subjugate his fellow man or the life that man shares on this planet. And I know these things are important to a lot of people, just like me. I'm just a faceless, nameless number like everyone else. But I am unique. I am beautiful. I am divine. I am everlasting. And every single one of us is exactly those things. The spirit inside never dies. It never gets old. Only the vehicle that holds the spirit eventually fails. And that's still through no fault of the spirit inside that's always pristine. So now we come to a point where it's time to fight for our lives and to fight for the spirit. And so I'm hoping that I can through all of these broadcasts and all my videos and my channel and trying to educate others, bring my fellow Americans together like they've never been together before, where we can all finally feel like patriots, where the man that's working for the money knows that the man with the money is going to take care of him, be fair and kind to him. And likewise, the man that's working for the money is going to know that he's not going to try to take everything in the world. He's going to take what he and his family needs to be comfortable and happy. And based on this relationship, Republicans and Democrats can coexist. But it's when the virus of the mind comes in and someone wants to take advantage of the other. That's when the drama starts. That's when the politics begin. And that's when the society starts to break down. We can't be weak right now. We can't be broken down. As a nation, we've got to be strong against the communist threat. Otherwise, they will enslave us tomorrow, harvest each and every one of our organs for money. I don't think they won't. They do it right now. Super giant military hospitals in China where they harvest organs from Falun Gong and anybody else they don't like, including Americans. So let's not make that the fate of all Americans or anybody else in this life. Let's educate each other. Let's hold each other up. Let's band together and unite as Americans, patriots. And let's go fight this scourge, scourge of the earth, the worst virus of the mind man has ever known, has now provided the worst physical virus the world has ever known. So I say it's time to go to the root now. It's time to squash out the virus of the mind, and that will ultimately squash out coronaviruses or any other virus that could harm mankind. If we remove the cancer, they'll never want to eat another bad or steady coronavirus ever again. I really wish the Chinese would have just opened up and said, here's the vaccine we've been working on. That's why we study coronavirus. Instead, they locked everything up, burned everything, and don't have any evidence of a vaccine. All I can believe is that they've been messing with coronavirus to release as a bioagent. And now this is their opportunity. Chinese New Year. This is all a plan. I've heard a term going around called plandemic. That's what I think this is. It's a plandemic. This is all planned. I almost envision backroom deals where, like, the president and Bill Gates and Xi Jinping over there in China, the leader of China, all get together in a room and work all this stuff out. Logistics. Here's when we're going to release the virus. Here's how many people we're going to allow die. Here's the date we're going to have the vaccine ready. And New World Order, they want to do is stick us all with vaccine and put us underneath 5G. Okay. Virus means they get to control us internally, chemically, make us docile. All the cameras and the drones that'll be fed in from China to spy on us and send over to China will be watching us 24 hours, so we can't congregate. If we try to congregate or go buy a gun, the camera is going to see us and tell the police that we'll be there to brutalize us. This is exactly what China wants. It's exactly how China runs their people now. How do you control 1 billion people, folks? That's how. And China just sees us as another Falun Gong. So they need us to buy all their cameras. They need us to buy all their drones. Because you know what? We make them fat and rich and happy so they can come over here and take us over. Now, there's just a couple of patriots I found in this American society right now, myself included. Also, Captain America, Bob Spalding. There's a few patriots in this country right now. But there ain't many. There's more subversives and people that would rather tear this country down than there are patriots. And do you know what it says about the tree of liberty? From time to time. That's sad. Very sad, but that's what we've come down to now. So I'm trying to create a new political party if no one wants to vote for the ones that just chased after money. The new political party is called Natural Freedom. It's the natural freedom to leave this economy, leave this apocalypse if it ever happens, start to look more like when it happens. Have the ability to go unimpeded from your government and go live off the land. Go raise your own crops, your own livestock, work hard every day, take care of your family in your way, do what you got to do. That's the way it should be. That's the way it's supposed to be. And we all have to have the freedom to be able to live that way. I watch this show every once in a while. It's called the Alaskan Bush People. It's about this family that basically went to go live in Alaska just off the land, and they get kicked off of there all the time. Even though they buy the land up, or whether they buy it up or not, always get kicked off the land because the government likes to tell them they can't live on that land. I think it's horrible, man. I think what it really should be is that the government never has the ability to say that you can't live off land. If there is open land that nobody gives a poop about, you should have the right to go live off that land, unimpeded by anybody, not have to pay any money, live your own homestead if you want, completely off the grid, and it should be fine for you to do so. The other thing that would happen is you would never be able to be forced into purchasing milk, like formula milk, powdered milk, because mother's milk is illegal. That is something that can never be done according to natural freedom. I believe in freedom through nature, being able to live naturally. Wow, this is crazy. Police just showed up to my neighbor's house. Hmm. I think I'm maybe going to kill the broadcast. Thanks for showing up. I'll hop back online here in a minute. I'm going to watch the cops and see what they do.